Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I am back here with Ejad number 6 for this week. Make sure that you are listening to the rest of the Ejads. You can find those in israelcasaintegral.com and on our Spotify and YouTube channel as well. So we have the Parasha for this week, which is Vayera, and he appeared. Our Ejad reading for today is Genesis 21. Verses 22 to 34. So again, that's Genesis 21, verses 22 to 34. I'm just going to go ahead and read Genesis 21:19, which says, "Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink." So, where is the solution to the problem? Abraham had divorced Ejad and sent her on her journey with her teenage son Ishmael. They had a trouble in the desert because they couldn't find water. Ishmael was about to die because he was ill. Ejad went away from him because she didn't want to see him die. They both cried, but the Eternal only heard the voice of the boy and sent an angel with a message for her. The angel didn't tell her where the water was but that she had to help her son because he was to become a great nation. In that moment, the Almighty opened Ejad's eyes so she could see the well, and that's how they survived this potentially mortal crisis. So we can learn several things from the narration in the Torah. First, Abraham sent Ejad and their son Ishmael away even though it hurt him. He did so because the Eternal had ordered him to do it. We have to obey the Eternal even if it's painful. The path of obedience is not the easiest path. Most of the times, it is hard, and many times we have to suppress our feelings. But if the Eternal commanded it, it's for the best, and we simply have to obey. The second teaching is that Ejad wasn't a good mother, leaving her son by himself. She was more engrossed in her own suffering than in the boy's, and she didn't want to see her son die. But in case he had died, he would have needed his mother more than ever during his last moments in life. We also learn from Ejad didn't put the promise of Ishmael's future in her heart. She knew what the Eternal had said about the future of her son, but when the crisis came, she didn't care for that promise. That's chapter 17, verse 20. Instead of trusting the Eternal who gave the promise, she acted and spoke totally in the opposite direction believing that her son would die. That's one of the reasons why the Eternal didn't hear her cry, but only the boy's. When the angel spoke to Ejad, he didn't give her the solution to the problem, but dealt instead with something more important, the reason why she didn't get help before. Her way of treating her child prevented the Eternal's intervention in her life. Her disbelief and rejection of the promises were obstacles for the Eternal's hand during the crisis. When she paid attention to what the angel said to take care of her child and focus on the divine promise for his future, then she was in the right condition for receiving help. In that moment, the Eternal opened her eyes to let her see that exactly in the place where they were, there was a well. So where was the solution to the problem? In this passage, we learn that the solution to all problems is always in the Eternal. If we mistreat those who are around us, the Eternal cannot send help. If we don't pay attention to what he has said, he cannot help us. When we repent to our lack of love to our neighbor and we pay attention to the divine message, we will be in the condition of finding the solution to the problem. Help is not far away. It is actually close to where we are. We only need to open our senses in order to perceive whatever is within our reach. Crying out to heaven when you are facing a crisis. Look around you to check if you haven't mistreated your neighbor. Trust what the Eternal told you and obey to what he says now. Open your eyes and look around. Help is within reach. Act. Meet the needs of those who are under your care, and the Eternal will be with you. May the Eternal make us sensitive to perceive his hints and act accordingly and not according to our own hearts. Catriel.